This episode of the ChatGTM podcast is brought to you by Budget Branders, your source for custom branded cups and bags. So what makes them unique? Well, they source using a hybrid supply model, they import to keep prices low, and they have domestic backup to fill in the gaps. Learn more at budgetbranders.com or connect with Budget Branders on LinkedIn. And now it's time for the show. Hey everybody, good afternoon, good morning, good night, where the heck you are. It is Michael Beck in the ChatGTM podcast reporting to you live here from Tampa, Florida on a slightly rainy day. It's coming down here, and I'm joined with me as almost always by my partner in crime, business partner, and the man with the hair, Mr. Chad Horn. How you doing today, Chad?
Doing good, Beck. This is going to be a fun one today. I feel like the tables are going to be a little bit turned. It's going to be great.
This guy's going to take the mic and take over. I mean, this is because this is an impressive person that's done a lot with his career, a lot with his business, and I keep tabs on what he's doing because he's pretty damn cool at what he does. So who is our guest today, Chad?
Well, before I say his name, I
does he show up if that happens? Is like Candyman?
About how you often will tell people, you're really good at asking dumb guy questions.
Yes,
like as if you're putting it on. I feel like in this case, both of us will actually be asking dumb guy questions.
Super dumb guy questions.
And, at the risk of maybe even feeling like, using one of his terms, AI grifters, in how much we don't compare necessarily to how much the leading edge folks like this guest today deals with AI.
Yeah, I think we ask the questions and let's just let them play. That really kind of makes sense. Well, let's go ahead and
forward to it. I expect to learn a lot.
Well, we'll let him out of the green room here in a second. I'm going to do my quick read in, and then we will let the genie out of the bottle, so to speak. Here he comes. So we're joined by Mr. Sterling Douglas, the co-founder and CEO of Chowly, and now a newly minted podcaster himself. A little clap of applause for joining our ranks. There's a lot of talk about AI agents right now, and while some companies are starting to deploy them, very few are doing it at a way that actually works in production. And Sterling is in the trenches building this inside restaurants. We break down what an AI agent actually is, how it's different from a workflow, and why getting these systems live is a lot harder than most people think. This matters because a lot of operators and founders are about to waste time and a lot of money chasing the wrong versions of AI. If you care about where AI is actually working and where it's falling apart, this one is worth your time. Sterling Douglas, welcome to the show.
Hey,
Michael Beck can read. Who knew?
You guys are way too kind. I heard all those nice words you said about me, and those are way too nice. I'm not really used to that.
I don't know about that.
Well, you should hear when you're not around what we say. We give you that.
Before we started recording, I'm much more interested in those things that you said.
Dude, no, just honestly, it's all true. You've made such an incredible arc in your career. I've been around for 15, 16 years and have had a chance to watch what you're doing, on the sidelines, and got to know you a little bit, new people that are working with you. Everybody says the same thing. You're a good guy. You're focused. You're driven. You're kind of a maniac when it comes to tech in a good way. Rumor has it you have some kind of lab in your basement with all kinds of crazy stuff going on. I want to talk about that too, but it might not be today's show. But first off, how you doing today, Sterling?
I'm doing good. Maniac is definitely my preferred, adjective there. So that's more like it. Thank you.
Love it. So, when we set up the talk today, you were really interested in talking about agentic AI, and I imagine that's because Chowly's playing in that space really nicely, but there's also some personal passion behind it. So let's start with the warm up question here. Everyone says that AI agents right now. What's actually an agent versus just a dressed up workflow?
Yeah, I think that it's really funny because I literally run me and Aaron started a podcast for AI for restaurants, and we probably have only had that topic discussed, I don't know, 4 different times. Like, what is an actual agent? Because everyone likes to call everything an agent and agentic, and it's super cool. But agents are actually super simple, and I always kind of go with the definition that Anthropic came out with, right? And so there's this idea of a workflow, right? A workflow doesn't necessarily actually use any AI, but can be created by AI.
Sure.
So workflows, use some like a non-engineer can kind of use AI to basically create a workflow, which is a script. It can be all deterministic, and it can go update data, right? And go, look at this data source and update this data source. And you can kind of do these through workflows. And a lot of times workflows end up providing a lot more value than trying to build some like big, humongous agent. And so what we've actually found, and Anthropic found the same thing, is that most of the problems that they were throwing AI at were solved by a workflow as opposed to an agent. But like an AI agent is only three things. It's actually really simple. But it's basically just an environment, a set of tools, and a prompt. Like that's it. That's all an agent is, right? And so when you're interacting with an agent, it has kind of this restricted set of tools. It's got a restricted environment that it works within, and then it has a prompt that basically gives it context on, its particular domain or its goals, or you can put personality in there. But that's all an AI agent is. So at Chowly, like we built AI agents that were specifically for different products, like a Google Ads agent, an SEO agent for the site. And so they're given, like our Google Ads agent is really simple actually, right? It's just a environment, which is, basically just for this one customer, right? You get to work with this data set from this customer, these orders, this attribution. It has tool calls that it can basically make to the Google Ads API, right? Those are the tool calls it makes. And it's got a prompt, which gives it goals. It's like, you are a Google Ads agent. Like you work with SMB restaurants. Here are a bunch of playbooks that we've learned at Chowly that generally work. Your goal is to increase the amount of orders that come into this restaurant by looking at these different determining factors, and you run tests and you log this data, and then you check your work and you try to get smarter over time, right? That's an AI agent. But then we also have a workflow that just basically takes all of the attribution data and loads it into Google. And there's no AI that's used in that flow, but AI helps create it. So just an example there of like the difference between a workflow and an agent.
Makes sense. Chad?
So to help make this more concrete for the listeners, what are, in terms of output, right? So your agent that you just described is optimizing Google Ads for an account. What's the difference between that agent and a human with comparable skills doing the same thing? Because we all hear about AI taking jobs, but what is the difference between an agent and a human in that scenario?
Yeah, so I mean, we always do kind of a bit of a hybrid approach when we think about like full autonomy or unattended versus attended work. So we have a dedicated studio team, and they've been working with Google Ads for years. They have like 40 years of experience of Google Ads combined between them. And so we actually give them these tools, and it allows them to go a lot faster and allows them to scale, right? Because previously, you might have an API, you might have a UI, you might have a marketing person, you might have an agency, and they're kind of going through this data, and then they're potentially have a data analyst that needs to actually do some of the analysis to figure out where the trends are. Whereas when we give it to our team, they already know a lot of things, right? They already know that day parting is important, but day parting is really tedious, but not if you have an agent do it for you. So we can go basically, hey, let's run a day parting flow. It'll look at the last 30 or 60 or 90 days, and it'll be like, here's where you're getting, impressions. Here's where you're getting clicks. Here's where you're getting orders. The studio person knows based off of volume, like this person's already doing a ton of volume. We should be optimizing for conversion. So let's now then craft day parts. And they can basically do that by interacting with Claude, with the agent, to be able to make that, do that analysis, and then actually make the changes. And then log the changes, and then log a hypothesis that we think this will increase orders by X%. And then we check back in 7, 14, 21 days. Is the hypothesis true? It wasn't quite true, or, the budget got blown out during lunch because we restricted the day parts too much. And all of these things then get actually aided by a person. So I know we're getting in the weeds a little bit, but it's humans are part of this. Human in the loop is big for us at Chowly.
And part of what I wanted to think about when we were coming into this to share with people is we went on the introduction about people potentially dropping money in the wrong buckets for AI and investing too soon or in the wrong places. What's a way that you can help that you can tell if a company's actually has agents in production or just marketing that they have this stuff? Like, where are there some proof points you'd see from the surface or the street?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's favorite thing is to throw a chatbot in their in their UI.
Right.
Like very big red point of sale company loves that they have a chatbot in their UI that you can chat with and it can do things.
Yes.
Cool. Love that. we've got different versions of that as well, but it's a bit of for us, like when we think about the value that it provides, like if you just throw the chatbot in there, you're relying on the customer, the restaurateur, one, to have time, two, to actually know how to actually work with this thing, because hey, make me more money in a chatbot, like it'll give you a bunch of ideas, but without structure, playbooks, and creating the loops that actually go back, like you're not really going to get the outcomes. And so whenever I see a chatbot in there, I'm like, all right, cool. Like I can direct it, I can steer it, I can maybe use the UI a bit faster. But when I think about like outcome oriented agents, like that is the thing that I believe restaurants want and what I believe they need. And it's what I even try to do at Chowly with any of our agentic flows, is like, what are the outcomes that this is actually providing? So for us, like our agents are very highly designed that like we basically are trying to turn tokens into dollars, right? Like you get a certain amount of tokens, based off of spend or subscriptions or whatever. How do we turn them into actual outcomes? And for a restaurant at the end of the day, that's just more sales.
Right.
So like this AI agent, the Google Ads agent, let's say it burned 200,000 tokens last week. Well, how many more orders did we get the restaurant because of that spend? What is that ratio? How did we actually exchange tokens for them? That to me is like real value, and that's to me real agentic flows, when a vendor is willing to basically explain to you how they're going to turn tokens into outcomes, because that's all AI is, and I believe like long term that's all these tech companies do. And there's a really big difference between that and putting a chatbot that allows you to control the UI, which is what I see a lot, not in our space but across a lot of spaces.
Got it. Chad?
I want to back up, because if someone didn't know you and they were just reading what you wrote on LinkedIn for the last handful of months, they might not even know you lead a restaurant tech company unless they were digging, because all you talk about is AI. So I'm curious, is that intentional? Like how are you trying to stay relatable, I guess? Because your growth arc is like this, the average restaurant operator, maybe I'll give them credit, that's moving upward, but not at your same speed. So how do you stay relatable as an individual and a company with your audience?
Yeah, I do think, and this has been true for my whole experience on LinkedIn. I mean, I didn't really get on it until I think it was 2023 or 24. I think it was 24. And in 24, I like posted every day for like the whole year. It was cool. But most of my posts were not really about Chowly directly, or at least wasn't about what we did. It was a lot about like the entrepreneurial journey, which is like the thing I'm the most passionate about. Like it's one of the reasons I love working with restaurants, especially independent operators, which is where we spend a lot of our time, is that I get to work with other entrepreneurs. And that's my favorite thing to do. And so a lot of the posts have been about the entrepreneurial journey. And then as we've kind of been going into the AI side, a lot of it has been about like, how the heck do you transform a company around this? Right? Because I've been trying to figure that out since late 2024. It's like, all right, I can tell what AI is going to be. I don't know when it's going to become this or when it's going to be. I can tell what it's going to be, and it's going to change the way companies are run. So like, how can I prepare my company for that? And so a lot of what I end up talking about is like, how do we transition the company through it? And that's a lot of the posts as well, kind of on that entrepreneurial journey. So we talk about that a lot. And then in terms of actually like talking about Chowly and what we do, I purposely kind of try not to do too much of that on it. I'm always happy to talk about it, but I usually use it as an example rather than like, I don't know, you can go look at our competitors and they're like, we integrated $1 billion of this and we did 500 million orders. We're so cool. Look at this new enterprise. We work with Big Pizza. And I'm like, cool. Like, that's great. Like, love it. But it's just not kind of the stuff I generally like to post. So in terms of back to your question on how to be relatable, I try really hard, Chad, and seems like you're telling me I probably need to do a better job. But I do try really hard, and Aaron and I work hard on the podcast too, to kind of like switch between like the simple concept, like, and how to get started versus like the more advanced things, that we need to do. So it's like, we try to talk about like, what is a skill, right? Like a skill is a very important part about using AI well and kind of building a system that actually works for you. Right. But it's a general concept. And so we'll spend time trying to talk about that from the basics. And then we'll also spend time about like, how do you get just like anyone in your team to even use AI rather than just plugging in emails into ChatGPT? And we'll talk about kind of this adoption. And then we'll get super complicated and we'll talk about like, how loop architecture works within, AI workflows, and
Good
how
example.
you have lower level loops, mid level loops, and you have like agent level loops, and like self-learning things. And so we're really trying to cover all of those, but I will take a note that I need to spend a little bit more time on
Well,
some of the
I'm
basic
not
building
sure
blocks.
you need to change anything, because it's a question of who is your audience. Because I mean, the reality is, and I just did a post this morning, like, over half of restaurants still use spreadsheets. And, we were at an event not long ago where a lot of operator leadership hadn't really ever done anything with AI, including basic prompting. So, you're going to need to talk to some degree the people that are leaning in.
Yeah, I think I like starting sometimes at the end, because then it kind of shows you what it can be and what you're working towards. Right? Like the most dangerous answer I've heard, and the most dangerous kind of phrase is, I tried it and it didn't really work. Like whenever I hear someone say that when describing their use on AI, I'm like terrified.
Right.
I'm terrified for that person, because it just means that they haven't actually explored it and they don't really see what it can do. And because of that, they're actually going to start getting further and further behind every single day that they don't adopt it and that they don't realize what it can do. So one of the reasons I do like to start at the end is for that reason, because I want to protect that person, and I want to try to help them. But their best place to start is basic prompting. But sometimes it's good to see what things can be, and to know that like I'm not an engineer, but I've written literally millions of lines of code over the last 6 months. And, for the most part, like you can too.
That's rad. Did you catch Sol Rashidi's presentation at Mertech?
No, I did not, but I would love to hear about it.
Okay. Well, part of her thesis or conversation wasn't about the big AI revolution and all the things that are buzzwording on stage. She spent a good amount of time talking about critical thinking. Yeah, well, one was AI governance, a big chunk of her thing, but it was on the critical thinking side of things, right? And I think it's an interesting question for you because you lead a company, you also teach this, how to use these tools, and how do you, and even when you're talking about your team previously, how do you balance with your teams and the people you're talking to the cautionary tale of yes, this can serve up all kinds of great information to you, but make sure to invoke your critical thinking. You're the secret ingredient here. The AI is not.
Yes, and that is definitely true. I was just talking about this earlier today. There's an individual that is adopting AI at a great rate. We push really hard on that, and this person is adopting it, but they didn't really have a great eye for quality or how things worked before they adopted AI. And in their adoption of it, they haven't used it to improve that. And guess what? It's the same AI slop and shit that they were producing before. They're just producing it more or at a faster rate.
You're more efficient at making crap.
Yeah, the shit pile gets bigger much faster than it did before.
Yeah.
And so like there's AI doesn't all of a sudden just like turn someone who didn't appreciate the basics and the fundamental understanding into a superstar. It just makes them they produce the same quality that they did before, just at a faster rate. And so as you're on the adoption curve, one of the things that you eventually pick up is that like, oh, this thing can teach me.
Yes.
And then you can actually have it adopt to your learning style. Like I'm a very top-down learner. And then like after I get top down, then I like circle back later and do bottoms up. Like very few people teach that way. But I just told Claude that. So now that's how Claude teaches me. So I'm always like starting top down, bottoms up. And so I'm learning along the way. And then that helps make sure that like you understand what it's doing for you, understand what it's building for you.
Yeah. And then as far as like, I mean, when you say you're making thousands of lines of code, how are you doing code review for the things you're creating with Claude?
Yeah. So one of the structures that I use in a little framework is like a leveling structure. So it depends what I'm working on. So I have level 1, 2, and 3. So a level 1, like, YOLO mode, just fucking push it. Like it's not mission critical. It's not a shared repo. I don't have other contributors. It's just my stuff.
Right.
Right. So like, just like literally, it's literally /YOLO.
Love
and like just do it, push it. Like it doesn't matter. right? Then we have level 2, which means that, hey, we actually have some structure. Maybe we have another contributor. So like in a level 2, like we do have, kind of like a development life cycle. Like we have a refine skill and part of the process. We have issue tracking. We have a code review. We have a PR process. We do coordinated merge downs. And you run it kind of like that, but you're not really looking at the code, right? Like I don't look at the code.
Yeah, it'll tell you if it's broken. It'll break.
Yeah, and then if it breaks, then I'm like, hey, this broke, and
Right,
then
right.
like, can we like, and then I usually work with it and collaborate with it. I generally have a systems understanding of it, and then you have kind of like L3. It's like L3 is like real stuff. Like this is like real production, commercially used. This is like potentially used by our customers. It has multiple environments. It's got a very much more specific, kind of more rigorous process.
Carrying liability at that point too.
Yeah, you have actual like humans who know code do reviews and all this stuff, and so it just kind of depends like where on the structure, like how thoroughly you review it and how you review it and when you review it. And so to answer the question, like, yeah, it depends. But as someone who doesn't really write code, like I can't manually review the code and tell you whether it's good or not. But I do understand that if it passed all of the lint tests, all of the vi test, all the pi test, and that it did smoke testing, and that we ran playwright, and that we did UI testing, it's got a good chance of working. All right. And so by building kind of that infrastructure, that's kind of how I handle it.
Okay. Chad?
We can level this down. I feel like we're
No, I
getting,
think
like,
this is
really
good leveling.
in the weeds here.
Honestly, no, dude, because even if it's going over people's heads, they're going, what's level 1, level 2, level 3? I think you're sparking curiosity that there's more here. I think it's totally okay. We don't have to dumb anything down in this case. I think we're good.
We have a couple listeners of our pod that grab the transcript
Uh-huh.
and then literally just copy and paste it into Claude.
What did it tell me?
And it's like, hey, which of these things could we implement? Right, like within their own system, and there's always like a couple of good things that they can like kind of understand. And we have one listener who's gone through like, we have 9 episodes I think live. And he started circling back to the first one. He's like, I understand like almost half of what you said now, as opposed to like 10% when we started listening.
You've entered a larger universe. Yes, love it.
So, comparing the now Chowly with the then Chowly, as you were just getting started with AI or right before, how have the bottlenecks shifted? What was it before and what is it now?
Man, like where did the bottlenecks change this week? Or last month,
like,
or last year?
Higher level than that, hopefully. Like, what are the general themes? Or what would you expect for a company before they get started, where they're feeling bottlenecks in their growth, to where they're going to feel it after they adopt it at your level?
I think that when you kind of apply AI to a particular part of any process, go-to-market process, product process, an operational process, a financial process, you haven't been successful until your bottleneck has moved. When your bottleneck moves, that's actually a good thing. So when all of a sudden, like, our bottleneck was like, tickets and code reviews, and then all of a sudden the bottleneck moved to, well, no, we actually can't create enough tickets. Okay, good. That means that the process is kind of done a good enough job there that it's kind of moved to this other part of the process. And then all of a sudden it was like, well, no, we're putting out a ton of stuff, but like we literally don't have the bandwidth to properly like test it and get it adopted and get everybody trained on it. Okay, now the bottleneck has moved again. All right, and so that's good. All right, that's good. So I mean, the bottleneck the changes every couple of weeks, it just depending on which part of the company you're looking at. And to me, that shift is really good. It's hard to keep up with, and it's very hard to kind of reframe your mind that like the bottleneck is a good thing, and the bottleneck moving to a different part is an even better thing. And so once you kind of get in that flow, right, you can kind of loop around the company, always making each part more and more efficient.
Okay, Zen. Love it. What's the hardest part about getting an AI from that, I don't know, more drawing board stage to actually in production? Or an agent, that is, not AI, an agent.
Yeah. There's a lot of parts that are hard. I think that the hardest part is retraining your mind. The hardest part is retraining your brain.
Like rope burn, not letting go of that thing that's not yours anymore?
Yeah, exactly. I think the hardest part is letting go of the vine, right? And understanding that you live in kind of a different world and that you may not know all the answers yet, but you do know that it actually is better. So like my favorite story to tell is that our marketing team is significantly smaller than it was, yet we get like it's literally a fourth of the size that it was, but it's about 4 times as efficient.
Wow.
We get about 4 times more done with 1/4, and it's because when our people, the ones who decided this is actually going to help me be better, versus the ones that said I don't want to have to learn this, or like I don't want to deal with it, or I refuse to kind of do this because I don't really know what it means for me.
Those are nails in the career coffin in any instance, though.
Yeah, but I think that the rate change for this one's a bit faster than it has been historically.
Yes.
So like, all of a sudden we have a graphic designer that can go all the way from a design and an idea in her head to deploy it on the website without waiting on another single person.
Wow.
Safely.
Yeah.
And for a graphic designer to understand that, like, okay, I have an MCP that connects into Figma, so now I can literally like write down my idea, and then Claude will make it show up on my Figma screen, which is like a design software, as opposed to me manually creating it in there, right? Like that little existential moment of her basically figuring out like, I can do so much more, so much faster, so much better quality, versus no, it's not perfect. Like I could do it better because deep down, I'm afraid this thing's going to take, something that, I define myself by away from me. And so I think that the hardest part from actually like bringing agents to providing real value is to reframe your mind around what this stuff truly means for you.
Yeah.
And I think that overall it's actually a positive. I think that overall you can do so much more. And the second you realize that it makes you better and you kind of throw yourself at it, like that's when you actually see growth, and to be frank, make more money, have more output, provide more value.
Yeah, that's like basic animal psychology. If you put something in a cage and you leave the door closed, 10 years later, if you open the door, they won't walk out because they still think it's closed. You just kind of wire, you cage yourself.
So I can I ask you guys some questions?
Ask away. We'll show how little we know, but let's go.
Well, I'm curious, like, what is like one thing each of you have like discovered AI could do that you used to be so annoyed you couldn't do yourself? Like you're like, what's the little breakthrough that you're like, I always used to have to go to this person, or I always thought this was so much more complicated, or I always like had to wait for someone else to do this. What's one thing that you can actually now do yourself?
So I'll hone it down for my personal on the podcast stuff. That was laborious. It was, I gotta get an image. I gotta write copy. I gotta do the tags and the hashtags and all the good metadata. And I'm like, so I built a version of an agent that I'll call it that I say, like, after this call, I will now take my transcript of that, dump it in my podcast agent, and it'll give me all my copy, my headline, my tags, everything that's in it. It's all done. And then I will take a screenshot of this episode, drop it in there. It'll make all the thumbnails and the big picture, and I'm done. That was 3-4 hours worth of bullshit if I was dealing with it myself, so that's gone. And so it's so much easier there. That's at least my close personal version. Chad?
That's awesome. What about you, Chad?
Professionally, it's anything that under the banner of research at scale, or scraping, or just getting data in and organized fast.
Or let's talk about proposals. Discovery call the proposal is easy.
To get married, you're using AI for like engagement?
Well, I'm not that quick yet, but no, typically in a sales process, you have a discovery call. That discovery call would then be somebody having to remember what the guy said or gal said, and then you transpose that and make your proposal. So instead, very similar to the podcast side, we take the transcript from the discovery call, feed that in our GPT, say we're doing a GTM on da-da-da-da, and here's our skill sets, and here's your proposal, we tune it up. That was usually a 2 or 3 hour project previously. And then if you want to talk about an actual PowerPoint or Gamma in this case, a Gamma is a few seconds to get a deck that is about 90% there, minus some tuning. That could have been a couple days on a run if you're really going at it. Sorry, I stole some of your Chad.
So that is
I asked Chad the question.
I know, I'm a dick.
I want to clarify why what Beck just said I feel good about, and it's not my number one. I like that, what he just shared. But for me, the real yes was the things that I always thought would be valuable. It just wouldn't have been worth it to do it. To do it at that volume and scale. It's too much time. I know the data, the output is there if I had like insane chunk time. I don't, but now AI can do that quickly. That's the really, really cool factor.
Yeah, your research one I like. I have a skill that's literally called rage research. So you just type in like /rage research and then type in whatever you want it to research. And it researches just like I did, back when I was like a junior consultant and that was part of my job. So it's like different angles, like different, like you're looking for data from different sources, you're looking for corroborations, you're looking at Reddit posts, you're looking at tweets, you're looking at like, oh, who are people in the space? What do they say about it? And then you kind of like synthesize it all down. And it was cool to basically like take something that would be like a whole day, codify it into a skill. And skill, like it's a meaty one, like it'll research for like 20 to 40 minutes. But it's cool that I can get like that same level output. Like it's I love it. And naming skills is always fun.
Yeah.
Rage research.
You've already got rage, YOLO. I've heard you say. I mean, your names. I would love to know your lexicon of terms inside of your AI world.
You shared Pillage recently.
Pillage is awesome. Pillage is always my favorite skill.
Rage and pillage.
Yeah, rage. I mean, improve.
He is a Viking after all, so yeah.
I don't have the long blonde hair anymore, so I'm not really doing it. But yeah, improve. That one's probably one of my nicer ones. That's a really great skill. But yeah, Pillage is awesome. Pillage is so good. That's my favorite one. It's literally like someone else wrote about something in AI, and then I just like /pillage and put the link, and then it'll go figure out like if I can take any of it, like the ideas, the structure, like whatever. And so like I create all of my own skills, but almost all of the skills are created based off of something that already exists.
Right.
But
why
then,
invent the wheel?
But then like actually like tuned for me and making sure like I understand it. Like the video editing skill is like my newest one. Like
tell us about that.
That thing is so cool. So it's
are you
really
on the Claude $100 a month program, or you got some crazy enterprise one that we can't touch?
No. I just use the $200 a month max subscription, and I almost never go over. Like I've been using it really heavily in the last month. But in the last month, it's like 3.5 billion tokens, and I only had to pay usage overage stuff for like an hour once. Like otherwise, it all fits into the normal $200 a month subscription.
So yeah, what's it doing with your videos?
Yeah, so the videos, it basically like I always thought AI was terrible at video editing. Fable 5 came out, and everyone's like, no, it can do it now. And so like I tried it, and I was like, okay, like maybe this actually kind of works. Then they took Fable 5 away from us, you bastards. And then I used it though with kind of Opus 4.8, and it actually worked super well. So like, it is an actual video editor. It does cuts. It can cut it can reframe. It can do vertical. It can repurpose. But the coolest part is that I can do the overlays. And the overlays are great because usually you'd have to use some of these little tools that would maybe like do the subtitles.
Yeah, like a CapCut or something.
Yeah, CapCut or like Clap is another one. KLAP. And they're not super expensive or anything. But then what I realized is that all those tools use the same thing. They use this thing called Remotion, which is a React. It's basically like it uses React code. And then as soon as I heard React code, I'm like, well, shit, Claude writes React code. So can it just write React code and do it? Right. And then I found a guy who had kind of already built this, a little different, but similar. We pillaged it and then turned it into my own, started turning it on my podcast one, shared our brand guideline skills. So it knows the Chowly blue, the Chowly yellow.
Yeah.
I gave it some of our slide decks, and it started pulling apart all the different components. Here's how they do little cards. Like here's how they describe their diner catalog. And here's how here's how to describe like the ordering engine. And now it can overlay it over these videos because it's just writing React code.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, like this thing, like it's just a skill, and it can now do video editing. I didn't know that. I'm sure people have been using it for months, but it's a perfect example of pillage. Like the way that the guy had used it, where I stole it from, like it wouldn't have worked for me because I don't do what he does. but there was a lot of good ideas in there that my Claude was able to then adapt, which is why pillage is my favorite skill. So I can pillage other people's skills.
Quick question as a follow-up to that, because you introduced an idea that's kind of scary in some ways. There's companies building a thing that is a feature that will be absorbed by AI. Like you just mentioned what, people were using inside of CapCut and other tools that are out there. Or maybe there's an Opus Clip kind of version of this that for small cuts. Looking at the world that we live in as far as hospitality technology, enterprise solutions, where's the wave crashing in your opinion on we're consuming these things because you're not really relevant anymore? We can now do all this shit inside of one house.
Yeah, I think.
Although enterprise is about low risk, so maybe that's why it's going to stick around for a while.
So I think and we'll gear this for restaurants specifically,
yes,
right?
Yes.
My view of it is that a restaurant tech company can do more, better, and cheaper than it could 2 years ago. And Chowly's an example of this, right? Like we've launched like 11 products in the last 18 months. And there's just no way we would have been able to do that before. And not only did we launch 11, but like 6 of them are best in class. Like nobody has the Google Ads agent like we do.
Yeah.
Not all 11 are best in class, but like the quality bar that you can achieve now is so much higher.
Right.
And so you should be able to kind of have like this better, cheaper, faster. So what that means is that you get more larger feature sets without sacrificing on quality and without sacrificing on price. So what that means is that there will be more pressure on groups to expand their product offering much faster or to pair up with other groups so that they can kind of either come together to be able to do that. And so as a restaurant, this is generally a good thing, right? Because you're going to get higher quality, you're going to pay the same or less, and you're going to have less vendors to manage, which allows you to have a simpler business to manage. And those are all really good things. So I don't necessarily think I don't know, like I've already seen Anthropic come out with a few, their SMB thing and the website builder and Claude Design, like all these things. And for the most part, like they haven't come out with anything that's really going to work for restaurants and really like kill any of these companies. I think the bigger pressure point here is, as a tech company, like, as someone who runs one, like I got to make sure we're expanding our product and I got to make sure that our value is super crisp. Because that's just the way it's going, especially with independent operators and even mid-market operators who can move really fast. Enterprise, there's a little bit more time, right? Because enterprise don't need to move that fast, so they can kind of plod along. But I think that from a restaurant perspective, I don't think anything changes other than demanding more out of your tech vendors. And from a tech company, it's kind of like expand or die. I really believe that. And some companies it'll come for faster than others. Anyone who's got regulatory, anyone that's got super complicated workflows, anyone that's got kind of their system of record for the data, they have more time. But the ones that don't, like, giddy up.
Like a tip pooling app or some version. Like some of these small point solutions, it seems some of these things will get gobbled.
Yeah, I'll save my commentary, not call out any specific groups. My friends run those companies. But yeah, I think that any restaurant tech company needs to look and say like, hey, the rules changed. Like everyone saw that in January where all SaaS multiples got cut by 50 to 75%. The rules changed. Like the rules are different now. So you got to adapt. I just really fundamentally believe that.
Business Darwinism.
So Sterling, there's going to be a lot of people today that whether they're comfortable in their role and they haven't been forced to, they haven't chosen to lean into AI and take step one. A lot of those people will still be comfortable. Let's go to a year from now, 1 year, somewhat close. And then at that point, by force or by choice, they decide, you know what, now's the time. What's that going to be like then? Because I can imagine what it would be like now. what it would be like in 1 year.
So
to just keep taking your first step.
I go back and forth on this. Aaron and I talk a lot about this on our pod, and that like from one side, it's like the longer you wait, the more behind you are. But the thing with AI is that you can get caught up so quickly because you have something that can teach you exactly to your learning style. So it's literally just like, how much time are you willing to put into it? And so I go back and forth on like, you know, someone who just decides today to start, to be perfectly honest, they put enough time into it, they'll pass me in like a month or two. Like, it's not that long, right? Like I spend my time doing other things. And so like, I can't put as many hours into it. And I've seen tons of people who were kind of resistant and then all of a sudden like get that mind shift, that mindset shift that we talked about earlier, and all of a sudden are there and they're already doing the things that like I would hire them to do. I claim we hired our last person who doesn't use Claude Code or has never used it. And we hired a customer success manager recently, and he had used Gemini, he'd used ChatGPT, but he never used Claude Code. And I literally told him, like, I can't hire someone who's never used Claude Code. Like, it's just this dumb rule in my head. So I'm going to buy you a month subscription, $200 max. So use all the tokens you want. And I'll give you 7 days and just build something. I don't care what it is. Build something, figure out how to get it on GitHub, figure out how to host it somewhere. And then in 7 days, walk me through what you built. And he did. And then when he started presenting about what he built, I interrupted him and I said, I really don't give a shit what you built. I don't care. All I want you to do is spend the next 30 minutes telling me every single thing that you learned while building it. And he started talking to me about how authentication is hard. He had no idea what Vercel or hosting or any of that meant. And then he learned it. And I was like, perfect. You're hired. Because now he'd use Claude
dipped
Code.
a toe.
But he'd learned. Like, it's all, and I knew that because he had learned it, he'd catch up. And he literally just sent me a beautiful HTML thing that was feedback on our training that we could use for, future new hires, right? So it's like that is like the ideal process. And that's how, as tech leaders, like, you can help people kind of, advance it, because now at Chowly is going to help, but his next job, he's going to be so much more prepared for now, right? Beautiful. And so that's it's a big thing, and kind of how I think about this.
I was able to interview John Davey not too long ago, and he says he doesn't hire anybody that doesn't use AI. Like, if you're not using it, you're not even on the interview list.
Well, let me do a trick, and we give everyone a little tip and trick here.
Is it this one?
Anybody? Whoa! Anyone who wants to go work for John, here's a trick. He built his own AI and it's public, so go use it to present to whatever you want to him.
Yes.
So not only are you using AI, use his, because he has one.
Right.
That is a smart tip. Well, hey, before we wrap this up, I do want to talk a little bit about Chowly, because there should be some kind of pandering for the business here, right? Sure. Demystify for me, because even the other day I sent you a picture that I was really proud of. I'm like, hey, check out my little guy, and here's all these GPTs out in the distance, or LLMs out in the distance. Like, Chowly should be in that basket over. All right, and I went back and I did it, but it's the idea of demystify for me what Chowly is.
Yeah, what Chowly's become.
Yeah.
Chowly's always been one that just looks for the problems that restaurants have and figure out the creative ways to solve them. And that led us to kind of where we're at today. And where we're at today is a very like holistic digital marketing suite. Like, we do more digital marketing than we do integration work at this point at the business. So Chowly's platform product, which is the only product that we really sell anymore, is, a website builder with our SEO agent. Right, Google Ads management with our Google Ads agent, email marketing with our email agent. You can notice the trend here. And we're everything from surveys to online ordering to mobile app to loyalty, and built off of 10 years of pain and suffering. I mean, learning of point of sale integration, so that it actually works from an operational standpoint for these restaurants. That is what the platform product is today. Everything outside of your four walls can be run through us and optimized by these agents that are really drilled and trained on these specific environments that we talked about at the beginning of the show. And so that is really what the product is today. And it's awesome. I mean, every day there's another customer that their online ordering is up 20% or 60%, or we see a $5 a day ad producing $200 of sales a day. Right now it's not every single customer, but every day another customer, we're seeing that. And we're just beginning. This product's 18 months old. Like, that's it.
Wow.
And we've already got it in over 1,000 restaurants. It's producing millions of dollars a week in online ordering sales for these restaurants. And it's been really fun to really kind of build this as AI is literally coming out, and trying to integrate these like incredibly new and cutting edge things into not only the product, but how we operate the business, because how you operate the business ends up showing up in the product. And so, yeah, it's really a digital marketing platform. We do more revenue off of our platform product than we do all of our legacy integration stuff combined.
Interesting.
Hey, I used an integrator. That was like just clueless man over here.
No, I mean, you do it for 9 years. You know, you're the first ones to do it, and you do it for 9 years. You're in a reputation. I'm good with that, but always constantly trying to kind of remind the space like we can actually do a lot more for you, and we help a lot of independent operators. Like our independent operators, we have single location barbecue restaurants that are using more AI than 1,000 location chains, and I take a lot of pride in that.
That's pretty badass, especially considering 43% of restaurants didn't turn a profit last year. Like, this could make all the difference.
We are maniacal on profits.
I told you he's a maniac. What we got on your chat is perfect. See?
Started it where we finished.
Yeah. One more question before we go in rapid fire, and I want to make it quick because I know he's probably got to get off to a meeting if I know Mr. Douglas. Chad, last question?
Oh. So we hit on the bottlenecks, but I want to just talk about like human limitation, right? Because that's always a factor. And I'm curious, as a leader of this company, where do you see like cracks being what people can handle to do all this stuff?
When I think about human limitation and the use of AI, I immediately go to context switching. Because you don't spend the time kind of like sinking your teeth into it as much, right? You're letting AI kind of do a lot of that for you. And once you get it spinning, you then kind of move on to another thing. All right. And, long running sessions are generally a good thing, as long as you have your loop set up correctly. But one of the issues, and I have it too, is that like I'll have 6 Claude Code sessions open on the screen, and I'll be keeping each one of them running so that none of them are idle. And when they're all kind of working on the same application, it's a little bit easier. But when one's doing like a deck creator, and one's working on our internal CSM application, and one's working on some changes to our Google Ads agent, and another one is working on like, analyzing financials for me, and you're trying to switch between them, you literally cannot, your brain will hit a certain limitation that you can only keep so many of these things juggling, and you'll make a mistake. You'd be like, wait, I didn't tell you to use that customer as example. I told you to use this one, but you put it in the wrong window.
Bucket, yeah.
And so your ability to context switch and manage that and being aware of it is hugely important. I will not do 6 sessions at once at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I know I can't do it at 6 a.m. in the morning, like fresh off a coffee and maybe a little walk outside. Like, hell yeah, give me 7.
Right.
But like 2 p.m., like I know I can't do it. So I stopped trying. When I think of human limitation, I think of context switching and our ability to do that.
Well, Sterling, I know we're at the hour here. I usually have a rapid fire, but I'll give you the opportunity to pass or do it.
No, give me rapid fire. I'll be quick.
All right.
I'll be quick.
Cool. All right. I like that. All right. So here we go. The rapid fire is, if people remember one thing about AI agents after this, what should it be?
Don't be scared.
Ooh. What's one AI tool you're using right now that actually impressed you?
Remotion wrapped in a skill to perform video editing.
All right. What's the most overrated AI capability in restaurants today? You can say pass to.
A chatbot that does reporting for you.
All right. If you had unlimited resources, what would you build in restaurant tech? I have it. What are you talking about, bro? No.
Holy shit, that's a good one. if I had unlimited resources,
Yes.
unlimited time,
Oh, I didn't layer time. Yeah, unlimited
I
time
would
too.
I would find there are two very specific people I would find, and I would rebuild the entire tech stack from a systems engineering perspective. From the ground up.
Ooh, that's a good one. What's one workflow you're dying to replace with a true agent?
Onboarding.
Onboarding. Okay. And last, what's a prediction you have about AI in restaurants that most people would say no?
10% of all restaurant website traffic will be referred by AI by the end of this year.
I believe that. I definitely believe that. Cool. That was a good rapid fire. Thanks, Sterling. Well,
That was a tough one.
yeah, I liked it. I liked when I saw a little smoke coming out of your ears. It was perfect. Yeah, it was like
See, the little hamster wheel was going nuts inside my head.
perfect. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been our incredibly awesome guest, Mr. Sterling Douglas with Chowly. If you have any questions about what Sterling does, you can find him on LinkedIn. He's also got a website of some sorts. It's chowly.com. AI, what is it?
Chowly.com to learn more about
Chowly.com.
Chowly, and then AIforrestaurants.ai to learn more about the pod.
AI for Restaurants is the pod?
Yep, AIforrestaurants.ai.
AI for
Really
Restaurants.
bookend
Oh,
AI,
bookend.
you know?
I like that. Very symmetrical. I like that whole approach. And everybody also, as in closing, what we always like to close with here is much like what Sterling did for us today. Random acts of kindness, sprinkle that stuff everywhere. You never know whose day you're going to make better, just like Sterling did with us today. So thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Thanks for having me.
Boom.